welcome back to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. My name's Michelle from Craftie, and today I'm going to be creating a card for you guys using the Colorado Craft Company stamp set called Pond Pampering. I think this is so adorable. I just love this little set. The stamps that I chose to use today are the ducks. I'm going to use this one here, and then the one out by the lily pads with the frog on it, and the little wildflower growing here. We'll choose a sentiment a little bit later on, but I've already got those stamps in my MISTI. I went ahead and laid those out in the placement that I wanted to create a little scene on my card. And I'm going to be creating a mask as well. I'm going to stamp those images with Memento Tuxedo black ink because I'm going to be Copic coloring. I've got a sheet of Gina Masking Magic. I'm just going to lay that right over. We'll probably have enough ink just with our second generation of what was left on the stamps there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to mark off sort of some lines that I'm going to want in addition to what I've stamped. I'm just going to extend this line out here. It's just a little squiggly line. And I'll do the same thing there and across the other side here. And up here I'm going to want just a little bit of a wavy edge where my water is going to end. I'll just go ahead and make that a straight edge. And now I'm just going to fussy cut my mask. Tumbled glass for my sky, and I'm going to come in a little heavier at the top and fade lighter as I come down. And I'm going to do the ground the same way with Rustic Wilderness. And I'm going to start on my mask so that I'm darker at this edge here and lighter toward the bottom of the card. I love those crisp edges when you peel away the mask. Okay, so now for our Copics. The first thing I want to color is my water area here, and I'm using B000 first of all, and I'm just going to come through and just make some squiggles in all the area that's going to be water. I'm going to come over with another layer of those squiggles with BG10, just a little bit more of a greenish hue. And for my ducks, I'm going to do Y15 and Y11. For the beaks and feet, I'm going to do YR27, I'm sorry, and YR04. Coming in with the darkest one first. I do that when I don't want the dark to be quite as prominent. That way my lighter color comes over and will lighten that up and blend it out a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing on my greenery, coming in with my darker color first and then coming over with my lighter color. So my darker is G46 and YG63 to blend that out. Now for these leaves on the flowers here, I want to come in with the light first and then the dark, because I want the final result on those to be a little darker. More of this G46. And I'm going to do a little something different with my lily pads. I do want to create a little shading on those, but I didn't have exactly the color markers that I wanted. So first I'm coming in with YG67 and I'm just going to color them all in solid. Okay, so I wanted a highlight that was a little more of a yellowish green, and I didn't really have it, so I decided to just come in with a yellow. I'm using the Y11, and I think that makes a really good highlight. And I'll show you guys, when you first do that there, you can't really tell that you've done anything. And then just sort of give that alcohol ink a minute to work, and you can really see what that does. I'll let that work for just a second. Now maybe you guys can see the way that yellow is starting to create highlights on those lily pads. I think that looks so good. And for these little flowers here, I'm just going to do just a touch of BV02. Now the only two items I've got left to color are the frog and the flowers here on my lily pads. I'm going to do a little bit of tip to tip coloring on those. First of all, let me go ahead and color the frog's eye. I'm just going to use a little touch of YR23 for that. Okay, so for my frog, I found a really good froggy kind of green color there with the YG91. And it's sort of a brownish green, but I wanted another darker color for the shadows, and I didn't have one close enough. The closest one I liked was the G99, is that olive color. But it's way too dark in comparison, and it's too much contrast. So I'm going to do a little bit of tip to tip. I'm going to use my YG91 and just color in the whole frog. And then when I come in with my shadows, I'm going to take coloring with the YG91 because it's lighter. I'm going to touch the tip of the G99 and just pick up a little bit of that darker ink, but it blends with the lighter one on the tip. So I get just a little bit of an in-between color, which is what I'm going for. Just slightly darker than that YG91 to create some shading. And it doesn't damage the marker at all. It doesn't stay on there for next time you use it or anything like that. I'm going to do the same thing with my flowers. I didn't have an in-between color that I was needing, so I'm going to create it. I'm going to color V15 all over the whole flower, and then I'm going to come back and do some tip to tip with RV69. And that RV69 is almost like a burgundy. It's very dark. But when I do the tip to tip and just get a little bit of that in on the purple, it makes a beautiful darker shade of that purple. For highlights, I'm just going to come back with my colorless blender and just touch a few areas, like on the tippy top of his belly here, and just lightly pull that back. And it'll take a minute to show up like it did on our lily pads, but you'll really see a difference there. And on my flowers, just each little petal at the tip. So now that everything's colored, I'm going to come in just with a black ink pen and I'm going to touch up these areas that I created with my mask and just make that sort of blend in with my stamped outline of all my other images. And go over some of these that got ink blended over top of. And I'll go ahead and draw a line where my horizon is back there. So now I'm going to choose a sentiment. And I think I'm going to use Sending You Sunshine Wishes. I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool because I think I want to white heat emboss that. So I'm just going to ink that up with VersaMark. And just sprinkle on my white embossing powder. And now I'm going to heat set my sentiment. I'm going to do one more final touch before I put it onto my card base. I'm just going to take the Nuvo Shimmer pen, and I'm going to do some more of those squiggles through my water and get some sparkle. And that just adds that shimmer to the water that I wanted. I'm just going to pop it onto a yellow card base to sort of play off the color of my ducks. Actually, I need to trim that down. So I just took about 1/8 of an inch off of every side. And that's going to give us a little bit of peek at that yellow border. And when I use a colored card base, I like to put a white panel on the inside so that if you want to stamp or handwrite another message for the inside, you can do that on that. I also like that it gives a little weight to that back panel when we've added an extra panel to the front. So that balances everything out and that completes my card. I don't know if you guys can see all those details. I think it turned out so cute. I'm really happy with it. I'll have links down below for you guys to all of these products that you can get over on the ScrapbookPal website. Also, be sure to subscribe to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.